Hey everybody, I'm that girl goddess. Today I'm talking to everybody about these women and men that are upset about their EBT card or the SNAP benefits. Because they putting a restriction on it that you can't buy snacks no more. No more ice cream, cookies, chips, sodas, or pop, cake, or whatever. And they are actually getting online complaining, talking about the government don't have the right to restrict what they buy. And I'm gonna be honest, I totally disagree. First of all, you're begging. You're not getting up handling your business, take care of your own. The hard-working people are struggling because they're taking certain percentage out of our money to make sure y'all are right. We're hungry. We can't afford food. The cost of living um, level is way too low. You can't even, if you working nowadays, if you making $13 an hour, you can't pay your bills. You can't eat. People are literally going to plasma centers and working just to pay their bills. And they barely have $100 to buy food for the month. And yes, we have children. We're just not begging. But at the same time, if they see that you have 40 hours, they're not going to give you no benefit card for real. They're going to keep denying you. And you probably worked all your children's lives. But these people never attempted, and they keep having babies. It's amazing how people who can't afford what they have, living off of Section 8, barely paying, we say way minimum, $100 for rent, and that's high for them because most of the time if they don't have a job, they pay $0, $11, stuff like that. And they can have 4 or 5 children and won't work, and we can have 2 get laid off and they ain't giving us nothing. They demanding we go get a job. But you you take our taxes for this. And we can't afford to buy snacks and stuff, but we make whatever happen. And they complaining because they getting free money and have a sense of entitlement. It amazes me how people have a sense of entitlement off of somebody else's money, government funds. I feel people on the poverty level all should be able to get a SNAP benefit, and I wouldn't care if they did restrict it. It'll just be a blessing just to be able to have a house full of food. But I don't know. We live in a society nowadays, we have presidents that have been wealthy all their lives, and they don't understand what most people who make under $50,000 a year is going through with children. And I don't get it. I don't see why you got grown men going into these different offices. I was watching a couple of videos. One was a rapper, and went down to the Department of Human Services, I believe that's what it's called, and he flipped out down there. And I'm like, he's a grown man. Why isn't he working? And he talking about he need this, and they taking too long, and they better hurry up. And I'm like, wow. I don't even know how people get on nowadays, because it's not like you can have put in all your work, be at the poverty level, and they give you nothing. You're denied. And then there's other people, they got Section 8, they got full benefits, and they have a bunch of children, and they catered to. It amazes me, why would you give one person over $1,000 on EBT, regardless of how many children they have, And you have elderly, they give them $23, and somehow they try to rationalize it because they social security benefits, but the cost of living is so high. And elderly people have dietary needs where the food is more expensive, because if you're eating healthy, healthy food is more expensive. And then you got those that sitting there working, making $50,000 and under, but you at most of the time you can be at the poverty level and they still deny you, and because you're working 40 hours, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how they do the math, because I see other people that just don't get up and get a job, and they demand all these benefits. I don't see how. I feel it should be rationalized. Okay, I'm back. Talk about this EBT and SNAP benefit and the people who feel a sense of entitlement. Now, I do agree, because I knew back in the 80s, people that applied for public assistance had to work at least 20 hours. But then these females will go get pregnant and they give them a check, and they in Section 8. You have to know somebody in order to get in there. It's a hard process. The waiting list is 10, 20 years back. And I don't understand why they keep giving them money and benefits to keep having children. I mean, they say Americans supposed to have 2.5 children, no more than a piece, no more. That's what they plan for. So if that's what you're planning for, why don't they stop giving extra money in the check for more than 3? Okay, what is the problem? Because if you set a boundary, it's set. They ain't gonna go past that boundary because they want to meet the criteria. A lot of senior citizens, they're senior citizens. I personally feel all senior citizens should get money who's not considered the wealthy or the rich. Okay? Because it's extremely hard and nobody wants to hire them. They be talking about retirement at 67, this. They discriminate when you hit 40 years old when you go apply for a job. You don't have no right to pay for it. Then they made the stupid law to keep people in bondage that, they can terminate you for any reason, but that's not true. Okay, I'm back. I forgot where I left off at, but I need to start making notes when I do this. But nonetheless, I'm talking about the cost of living, where they put the poverty level at is so, it really don't make sense. Because if you're a single person, in my opinion, if you're only making $30,000 a year, you're at the poverty level. Because rent is an easy $1,000 to $1,200 for 1-2 bedrooms. And then you gotta pay lights and gas. Lights and gas gonna run you a good $300 plus, depending on what state you live in. If it's snow, if you're in the warm states like the southern states that get extremely hot, you're gonna be paying like they pay a electric bill up north for the gas. You're gonna pay for AC, and it's gonna run up the same thing. At least your bill's gonna be 300 plus. So if you put that in, you need $2,000 a month. Most of these jobs you don't even get, especially if they take out taxes, you're not bringing home but a little bit over 300. And that still doesn't even allow for food, transportation money, personal needs, because you're gonna need deodorant, soap, toothbrush, sanitary pads, lotion. You're gonna need those too. alcohol, vinegar, washing detergent. Okay? May have to have work uniforms. We're not even going to talk about a lawn service, snow service. And the government, what really trips me out is, since they want to give out government funds for people that is poor, and they don't even consider you poor, and you're making $30,000 a year, but if you just pay rent, light, gas, water bill, and personal needs and transportation, you have superseded $30,000 a year right there, and you haven't even put your food costs in it. So I don't understand why they are denied people, but want to give people, oh, they got 6 kids, oh, give them $3,000 or $2,500. I feel once you get to $1,000, that should be your limit. Yeah, take out the snacks, because that money needs to be allotted around to a lot more people who's living at the poverty level, the real poverty level. People they be talking about 19,000 a year for one person. 19,000, baby, rent alone is gonna cost them 12, 14, $15,000 just for rent. Okay, we put the average gas bill at $500 a year. That's $6,000. You haven't even put in transportation, food, or personal needs. So how do the government miss that? But they making it off the people who's working hard. Okay, the rich, they got all kind of tax breaks. They ain't paying no taxes. They make up stuff. They ain't gonna pay no taxes. But they don't want to change their lifestyle and don't want to pay nobody nothing. But they got billions and $1,000,000 companies. They don't want to pay for your vacation. You can get a week or 2 off, but they're not giving it to you with pay. So how is that a vacation? So most Americans don't. And then I always say they need to turn the work week into 3 days on, 4 days off, to 4 days on, 3 days off. Work weeks, or either 4 days, 10-hour shifts. Because at some point you need to rest. And then most of us have to have 2 jobs. So we need those 3 days or 4 days so we can work 2 jobs and still be working. And we still is barely over the, depending on what you get paid, barely over the poverty level. Because they saying 20,000, there's no way in the world you could mean, yeah, 20,000. There's no way in the world you can make it off of really less than 20,000 a year. That's not even feasible. If the average cost of rent is $1,000 or $1,200, it's no way possible. So people are working themselves to death because the body never gets no rest. And then you got to get on the bus, wait 2 hours, wait an hour. They come if they come. If they don't come, they don't come. You gotta go pick up your children for school. They have no latchkey programs. The state is not gonna pay for your child care. They'll start off and then they won't send no more money. So most child care places won't take your money, your application. And we living in a crisis. You got mothers with children and daddies with children and mothers and husband and wife with children sleeping in their car, in a van. And they talking about homelessness is a crime, you're going to take them to jail. So where's all these children going? We already have an overpopulation of children that's in foster care. And they try to give you a hard time about being a foster care and adopted parent. They have more requirements of you as adopted and foster parents than they uphold the parents to have. And the parents are the ones who did wrong. They need to make that easier to do. I mean, not if you have a pedo background, that's understandable, certain things, but there's a lot of people who wants to do it, but they don't qualify for foolish reasons. These children need a solid standard home. You're going to have them in your household all while you have the children. Social work is going to be coming anyway, so they're going to check in on the children anyhow. So I don't understand all the ridiculousness to have children grow up in foster care when, part of the state system, because most of them won't get adopted because of age. People are afraid of dealing with teenagers because of the runaways. And they give you a hard time about even if you're trying to do it. They need to place these children in homes and have someone one-on-one parenting and someone who can spend extra time with them and get them together. You'd rather have parents that's sitting there on Section 8, and I hate to say it, and I'm going to make a video just for it. They're there for their children 24/7. They don't have jobs, and their children are so in such bad condition. They can barely read, write, but you got a parent at the household 24 hours? That doesn't make sense. Their children are so foolish. They get in these gangs. They fight because you're on the wrong corner. You're wearing the wrong color. The dumbest stuff in the world. That doesn't even make sense. Their children are rude, disrespectful, can't count money. Okay, I hate working at restaurants when you deal with a lot of the youth a lot of times because they so disrespectful and bad, but you ain't supposed to say anything. All children need discipline. I'm not saying abuse, but they do need discipline. The government is wrong. These teachers cannot teach these children because they cannot discipline. But the generation that's functional were all children that were spanked and disciplined. Okay? It's amazing how we're the better generation, but the children that were spanked, but the generation that's without spankings act horrible. Nobody want to deal with them. The legal system, the jail system, I don't care. Most jobs, you don't want them because they won't work. They lazy, they rude, they disrespectful, they slow. They can't read. Okay? They have no work ethic. But they have a bunch of babies and STDs. And they're counting on the older generation, but then they don't want to hire you after 40, but it say no discrimination. So why are there any job placement so these people can go to work? Because most of the people I see nowadays, once they hit 50 years old, their health is shot. They have bad knees, they can't walk. These people have stood in the snow 2 and 3 hours catching the bus. They have arthritis just about everywhere. They have diabetes running rapid, outside of other problems. They live in high crime zones, anxiety problems, depression, mental health everywhere. And we all know the new generation is predominantly mental health. If you let the government tell them, they spanked us, said we was fine. Them, you can't say nothing to them. And everybody is ADHD or autistic and all kind of diagnosed, bipolar. They're considered non-functional. They rather give them a disability check, which is foolishness. Because these people on disability, they're not going to go out here and work. And the older generation that is working, okay, most of them are 45 plus in age. So in 20 years, you don't have nobody to work. Very few people. Nobody can feed themselves. I see them, and I still say it's a disgrace. You give anybody under $200 on a food budget, and you give this one girl $2,500, $3,000 on a EBT SNAP card, and you got this elderly lady, and I know a lot of them, and they are struggling because rent is so high. Living is subsidized and struggling. They get $23 off a EBT card. That's ridiculous. And then you wonder why other countries see us and we're under attack with them, and they hate America and they talk down on us, but you don't even care for your own people. But you go overseas, you talk to those people, excuse me, drop something on the floor. You see those people, and they take care of their people well. But they supposed to be in impoverished companies. It's amazing how America's supposed to be one of the richest nations, and the vast majority of their people, 75%, is at the poverty level, making under 50,000 a year. Families, elderly, you're not making enough money. Hold on. Okay, I'm back, everybody. Now, I'm talking about this public assistance. Even if you're at the poverty level and you need assistance, why do you feel you have an entitlement to it? And that you can go years and years and years and can't nobody else ever receive? Now, the Word of God tells them not to oppress the poor because they are already poor. But we have a government that really is against the poor. They can't stop being poor if you have no opportunities. If minimum wage is gonna be so low, they know can't nobody live at $7.15 an hour, and they talking about raising it in 2028. 3 more years, things are super high. You have $100 and you can't even feed yourself for $3 if you go to the grocery store, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. How in the world they are supposed to stop being poor if they working 2 jobs and can't meet the cost of living? And y'all got a fake cost of living standard, you know. I don't know. And it's like people don't want to speak up. I mean, you have a lot of people on the internet, but most of them are talking about stuff that really don't matter. You know, I like to see the cute dogs and cats on YouTube, and they be funny, but I have to deal with the things that's going on in society too, like housing, rent, the homeless, EBT benefits, Section 8, subsidized housing, worried about the elderly, how we going to keep the people of our society in the United States okay. Other countries, they taking okay. They have free medical, free education, and this and that. And you go overseas, you can become a doctor in like 2-3 years. You over here, they talking about 12 years plus. It's ridiculous. Then all this, I remember I paid my student loan down. I'm trying to think how much I owed at the time. I think it was like $15,000. And I paid it down to $2,500 consistently right out of graduation, month to month. I paid at least $2,000 a month, and then that's when the job site I was working at flooded out due to a flood in Michigan, and I didn't pay no more. Shortly after that, when I did get a job, I was just balancing. I had children, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I was seeing like $50, and then I stopped because I was in a car accident and was down for 3 years. You know, my legs didn't work. Major back problems, sciatic nerve was going off. I was having blackouts. I fought with amnesia. A lot of problems. A lot. And God has restored me. I thank Him. Couldn't might have done it without God. I had a lot of determination, kept fighting. And, you know, I functioned real good because when I was on the police academy, well, this is just to go get my post certification. We had to run 2 miles. I was able to do it. The class, they was like 18, 19, under 25. They walked it. I ran it. You know, when it came to fighting, I had more skill, like bop, 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 in much great shape. They couldn't. And I'm saying that to say, because I took care of myself outside of sports and lifting weights and going to the gym and walking and pushing and pushing and pushing, you know, eating healthy, because outside of me eating healthy meals, sometimes I have something like a can of raviolis or SpaghettiOs or something like that, but on the most part I eat predominantly plant-based, not because I'm vegetarian, But sometimes I just don't feel like cooking other stuff. I'm eating the wheat pasta because of the carbs and stuff, and my sugar was high at one point. And maintaining my body with more knowledge and wisdom is a path I've basically always been on, but I'm even on an even more better journey. Process. I'm gonna say process right now. I have always take up other supplements, daily vitamins, may took an extra iron here and there, vitamin D, calcium. I take a lot of vitamins. I'm looking into joint health. I take this certain vitamin, I think it's like COQ10, something like that, but it's for heart health. And I'm putting the work in, just to be healthy and keep my body. I mean, I exercise, I get to going, boom, 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 lift weights, bop, 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 bop. I'm doing what it takes for my body, to be healthy. And exercise my mental so I can stay mentally sharp. But the quality of life, because most of the people, if you making really under $60,000 and you just one person, you're struggling. Because if I have 3 children, that was just to say, and I go to work and make $60,000 a year, the same thing I have to pay for my house, a single person have to pay it. They have to eat the same $1,200 a month for 1 bedroom. If I have more than 1 bedroom, if I'm making $60,000, I have to spend more money, because I may have to spend somewhere between $1,500 to, and these are not luxury homes, that's just average property, to like $1,800. Okay, off the same income somebody that's one person. Okay, so just because you make $60,000, it depends on the number of people in your household to determine how successful, how much money you can save. But a single person still have to meet that same house rent or mortgage as somebody with children, 2 or 3, 4 more, or married. And it's still going to be based off the same income. You may have to pay less for food, but we're going to go into lights, gas, water. You're going to be paying a high gas, light, water bill. Still got to get personal needs, transportation. Don't even talk about getting your hair did, caring for your relatives when they going through hard times, helping them out. You still gonna be in poverty stricken, because that's not much $60,000 a year can do. You paying your own medical insurance. I mean, I worked jobs, I had to do all of the above, and was only making, one job was $8 an hour. It took me a while. I found another job, and I was working 2, and that one was $15 an hour. I couldn't pay a car note with that, and with my bills and all of that. It's still a poverty level. I don't care what any president, governor has to say. If you living and you're not making over $15 an hour, let's say $15.50, you're struggling. Okay? And the government owe people who have worked some kind of supplement, because you take off our money for people who never had a job. But why couldn't that money be utilized for us to sustain ourselves? It's time America wake up and listen and pay attention. We need a change for real. But the systems that the rich gonna put us through, the rich and demonic gonna put us through, Lord have mercy, Jesus. It's going to bring us to our knees. A lot of us who hasn't got focused enough to recognize it's time to repent. Yes, you're going to have to read a lot of word. You're going to have to know that Bible for yourself. All the scams that I see that they do, you're going to have to study in a lot of areas. But This is my post about the EBT cards. People acting the fool for it. People feel like they are entitled to it. How a lot of seniors and single people and really people living at poverty levels really need food supplement assistance, and it's nothing for them. They need housing assistance with what we're going through, the homeless situation. And everybody, you got all the people that work the system, never had the hours. And I tell people, yeah, you need to get out there and work. You're going to have to one day retire. You're going to need to establish some kind of social security for yourself. A lot of these jobs you can't retire from, but you need to get out here and work and have something. And these people that are just living off the system, I don't know what they're going to do when they get old. Because I tell everybody, I want my money for myself. I don't want to take care of nobody else. If you're able-bodied, you need to get out here and get it. Stop having these kids. Make some sense. And no, you are not entitled to SNAP, any kind of government assistance. I mean, I understand if you're disabled, you're elderly. I understand if you're 60 and over. To me, 60 should be the age of retirement. Not that everybody's going to retire at 60. But you need to have some stage of your life where you're not working, that you can enjoy a phase of your life. And they talking about 67, 70. Most people don't make it past 65. I'm just saying, like, share, and subscribe. And I thank you. God bless. Bye.